Genetics is changing everything in medicine. Genetics is going to be the basis of disease treatment in 10 years in almost everything we do. So, I mean, that's the most exciting part for me.
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go. Working from home today. Yeah. It's the best when Chris and I get to spend the day.
Clothes are baggy. Hair is greasy.
So baggy.
So baggy.
Crazy. I could fit 3 more humans in my sweatshirt.
Literally. I was driving here today and I saw this girl and she was wearing this loose linen white button down and these cool boyfriend jeans. I was like, wow.
I will never look like that.
I know. I was just
never as cool.
That is that's a really honorable thing to do. To wear cute, casual clothes every day.
I know.
Maybe someday I will.
But we can. It's just it almost feels like imposter syndrome sometimes to me where I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a boyfriend jean and I'm going to rip them up and then wear
I know, a button down.
A button down. But we would look cool, Krista.
Cool. I'm maybe when I'm I don't know.
A mom. That's a cool mom look, no?
Dude, so exactly. So I'm I thought about that. I'm maybe when I'm a mom, but what?
I want to
maybe when I have more responsibilities than I have now and I'm watching over kids that are shitting and pissing on me while I get ready. I have no kids and I'm not getting ready.
I'm going to be the mom that wears a uniform. I want to wear
I love that.
Black on black.
Overalls.
Every day.
Overalls.
Yeah, I can wear overalls.
Just strap it up. Put a baby in the front.
Mom tunic.
Yeah, literally.
Coming through.
Got my fupa
Look at that mom over there.
Tucked in.
You have lollipops in every pocket.
Honestly.
And your Xanax in the top pocket.
Shut the fuck up. Just kidding. I love kids.
Oh, me too. So I just said today out loud, and now it's probably going to be true. I was like, I'm not going to have a kid until I'm 40 anyway. Loud. I know. Well, I honestly think that's kind of the track I'm on because I'm nowhere close to getting married, but then also I want to date my husband once we're married. I want to have a few years where we
enjoy
travel and have fun and in our own way party still and just do whatever the fuck we want whenever we want. And then, so that tacks on a few years. And then I want to have, money for kids.
I want to have money.
I don't even want to worry about it. And I know that's you're always going to worry about something. But, when I was growing up, that was always something that my parents fought about. And I don't want that to be a thing.
It's the number one thing I think people fight about.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
My parents was too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I'm I want to be a millionaire before I have children.
Absolutely.
And now I only want to have one. I kind of want it
same.
a lot. No,
well, ours can be best friends. It's fine.
Honestly, they need to be.
It's fine.
Because
I think we also within your family unit, I think it's really cool to have mom, dad, and a cool kid.
Yeah.
It's your best friends.
Totally. And you're going to control them.
Yeah.
You're it's still us.
You attach them to you.
Yeah, it's still us driving the bus here.
Yeah.
Fucker.
You're not outnumbered yet.
You're not outnumbered. You're riding.
Yeah.
Because with 2 kids, me and my sister, it's
yeah,
chaos ensues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once we had 4.
One is one way. Oh, I mean,
literally, we directed our parents. We're film us doing this. We're going to cartwheel for 3 hours.
Totally.
And you're I guess I have to.
Yeah, you're what else could I do?
My mom's okay.
But at least 4, you can be bye everyone, and they can go fucking do whatever kids are going to do.
Yeah.
I love that about more Aaron's Maylee. where she said that about kids. She's like, like kids want to play by themselves too. She has 2 kids and she she's an amazing mom, but she talked about how kids also don't need you around all the time.
So true.
I mean, pull and pray, parenting tips.
We got it all here.
Yeah, we got it all.
You taking notes?
Yeah.
Actually, this conversation.
Everyone who has kids that's listening is like, fuck you guys. Shut
I know.
up.
Just know that this is our opinion. And 1, we haven't had kids. And 2, sometimes people give me like a little look if I say I want 1 kid. Okay.
Why?
Because they feel bad for the kid because they're not going to have friends.
I mean, all my best friends are actually only children.
Really?
Yeah. Kristen,
Cool.
Jen Kennedy.
Justin.
Justice is an only child. I have another person that I'm close with that's an only
cool.
child too.
I'm fascinated.
And,
I think
it's crazy the difference, like how they've all, the difference in them, because of it. But yeah, but I do think about there is something about having a sibling.
I know. I think if it's
like,
meant to be, okay. I don't want to ever force I should have 3 kids because I just want a gang.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I know people are like, I want a boy and I want a girl. So that's why they have 2. I saw the funniest tweet the other day. What was it? It was about having a sibling. Oh, at my funeral, sit me up. I want to see if my sister got my clothes on. Fucking love that. That was number 1, baby.
Sit me up.
Number 1 fight. Number 1 fight.
Mine was just copying me.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I do not like a copy.
I'm like, do not copy.
But you're older.
I know, but I mean, I was a bitch for saying that.
I mean,
of course my younger siblings are going to copy me because they admire me.
Totally.
This is literally when we're 8 years old.
Me being savage. My sister is a little bit more sensitive. I was savage. Well, I guess I became sensitive as I got older, but
no, I was rude. My siblings were so sweet.
Aww.
Like Cameron was so sweet, and I would just be like mean. And I've apologized since, but
what would you be mean about?
I would just she would copy me. I'd be like, stop copying me, and I'd run away.
Did you ever have don't look at me fights?
Sure.
In the car. Oh man, I remember.
She's looking at me.
I'll never forget one time I was in the car. We were on our way to Michigan. We'd go to Michigan every year, and I was like, she was looking at me, and I actually have very few memories of my childhood, but I can remember how angry I felt that she kept looking at me. It was like a deep rooted anger.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. Kids get real angry. They don't know what to do with it.
Totally.
It's like, that's something you do as you get older. You learn to process feelings.
Oh, my brother would fly off the fucking handle just out of the blue. And it would be funny at the time because it's like this, I mean, he was cute as hell. And just this little boy with spiky hair would just freak out.
Yeah.
And we're just like, whoa, this is actually entertaining to watch, but he would be having a real freak out. So I feel bad even saying that, but they don't know how to process emotions at that age.
Don't know how to, boys especially.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to process the feeling of, I don't want my sister to copy me instead.
Yeah.
I wish as parents, they would have been like, hey, so your sister just really loves what you're doing.
I know. Yeah. I wish I would have been told how to process shame. I had a lot of shame as a kid.
Yeah. Around
a lot of different things. And I wish I would have understood what shame was. Because I think that was the prevailing feeling that I had when I was really young, was feeling shame.
Well, I think parents use shame as a way to teach you a lesson. They're like, well, we want to make her feel ashamed that she did that. But then they don't empower you to then use that feeling to evolve and transform. It's just sit in your shame and then just don't do it again.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, I'm trying to transition.
Kids when you're 40. Well, you did. You left a perfect segue. That's what we do here on Almost Every Podcast. We give you tips on life.
Segues.
We have great segues and transitions. So if you want to have a kid when you're 40,
here you go,
Bob.
Or earlier, people are dealing with different
fertility issues.
Yeah, fertility issues. So one of my dear friends, Dr. Bob Anderson, is on the podcast today. And this is a long time coming. It's actually funny. I first sat down with Bob to try and interview him when we first started the podcast. And we were at a restaurant. I was recording on a janky recorder. It doesn't work to do it at a restaurant. Just FYI, if you're starting a podcast. I'm like, this is the clanking of the forks podcast.
Well, like it's very matter of place, or it's like very in place.
It was wrong. So it actually, timing is divine, and it worked out that this, we wanted Bob on. I think, a lot of our listeners could be, experiencing infertility issues or are thinking about having children. And, I assume that I'm fertile and I could have a baby tomorrow, right? But I don't know. So I just, we want our listeners to be well informed, and Bob is full. I mean, he really took us deep into the process, what it looks like and feels like, and what the commitment.
IVF.
Yeah, what the commitment.
He wanted to do IVF. Yeah, he commitment,
the financial commitment, the emotional commitment, the physical commitment, and he is an innovator in this field, actual, at the forefront, one of the top fertility clinics in the world. People are coming to him from all over the world.
I mean, don't take him being our friend as a way to discredit him.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
we're just lucky that we know
the
him.
best fertility doctor in the world. People fly from all over the world to get IVF with him, to help with surrogate issues, to help with their fertility. So really this episode was super informative. I did not think I would love learning so much about women's fertility, having a baby, everything related to that as I do. I mean, as I get older, and as we are almost 30, there is so many things related to this, and starting a family, especially for people that are waiting a little bit longer, there's options for you, and there was ways to educate yourself. So this episode's really, really groundbreaking in that way. I don't know any other podcasts that are talking about this.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to open up the conversation, basically. So Lindsay and I have people on that are pretty provocative. We have topics on that are really provocative and interesting, but we just want to give you guys as much information as possible to be educated on these topics.
So you can connect with Bob at the Southern California Center for Reproductive Medicine. Their website, SoCalFertility.com, has a ton of different resources. We're just really, really honored to have him on. This one, I think, will, especially for women, just give you the tools that you need if by chance this is the route you need to take or know anyone that does. So enjoy this episode. Join our secret Facebook group. Let's talk about it. As always, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. We're going to ask that all the time because it really helps us. We've seen it just really, really increase our rankings, which, by the way, okay, it's a number. For us, it's more about being visible to more people. We want to bring on more guests like Bob. We want to bring on sponsors so that we can get you discount codes and try new and amazing innovative brands. So it all just works together and helps so much. So share this podcast with friends. It means the world to us. DM us on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. We want to talk to you. We're always, you guys are our best friend. Best friends. Love you.
Love you.
This episode is brought to you by Cauliflower,
my favorite. Cauliflower pizza crusts. So guys, FYI, if you are vegan or plant-based, I'm vegan. And if you guys are eating, cauliflower crust pizzas, a lot of them have egg or they're not vegan.
Yeah.
So that's why I love cauliflower vegan plant-based pizza crusts for all of my amazing vegan pizzas that I make.
And honestly, I've had friends over, so I'm getting real creative with these pizza crusts. I have friends, that's the main point. I've been getting really creative, and it's kind of fun because it's like a blank canvas. So you can even honestly put on hummus and different veggies, like a breakfast one. You can do whatever you want. They have a red pepper crust. They have just the original
an Italian herb.
Yeah, it's so good. The crust has only 4 fresh ingredients. It's only 6 carbs for the entire crust. Just to put it in perspective, the Trader Joe's cauliflower crust has 102 carbs.
Unfortunately, the Trader Joe's one isn't healthy. It's got a lot of fillers in it.
Yeah.
So
and also cauliflower, which I've tried before, has 78 carbs. Yeah. So listen, we're not about really being particular, but those things
when
matter.
I eat a whole pizza, it matters.
It matters.
I'm sorry. I eat a whole pizza at a time. It matters.
And they are the only plant-based option on the market. The founder, Amy Lacey, created these crusts after her lupus diagnosis and she was forced to change her diet. So these are great for people who are keto, on a low carb diet, diabetic, have autoimmune diseases, celiac disease, and people who want minimal ingredients in their food. And obviously just pizza lovers in general, i.e. me. So Cauliflower Foods. Go to their website, cauliflowerfoods.com, CALIFLOURFOODS.com. You can order straight online. You can start with like a 3-pack, 5-pack, 6-pack. It's great. So use our code almost30 for 10% off your purchase of over $50. We love this brand, Cauliflower Foods, changing the game for people with autoimmune diseases and beyond who just want
who want to eat some low carb za. Enjoy.
This episode is also brought to you by Bright Cellars. I just got my box.
Me too.
And I've already gone through 2 bottles of wine.
No.
Well, I had people over.
Who did you fucking keep having over?
Carly came over.
Oh, okay.
And we had the Chardonnay.
Okay.
And then I brought wine to someone's.
Dude, that's what I'm
literally
doing. Yeah.
It's great. It's great for bringing it to parties or get-togethers. The wine is awesome.
It's bomb. So Bright Cellars is a monthly wine club. So it matches whatever your flavors or whatever you like with wine, and it sends you wine in a box. It was super safe, amazing bottles. So I got it last month, and I had got 4 bottles. Justin loves to drink wine and chill at the house. Like if he would be happy for the rest of his life just chilling with me drinking wine. So we had some, and then whenever I go to people's houses now, it's like. It's so easy because I don't want to ever have to like go out somewhere before I go to someone's house and buy something. So it's like I always have something on deck to like bring over.
Yeah. And I also got wines that I had never heard of before. Same. So a Petit Verdot, a Chenin Blanc, something else, I forget. But I'm just so excited to kind of learn more as the matches get even better. So you can go to brightcellars.com, brightcellars.com/almost30, and you will get $30 towards your first box. So that's basically 50% off.
Yeah, that's like $33.
Easy.
Get free wine.
Get free wine. So you just take a little quiz and it's really great. And you can give them feedback so that your matches get better and better and better. You basically have your own little wine concierge. So brightcellars.com/almost30, $30 towards your first box. This has been a long time coming because how long ago was it?
Like 2 years.
It was it was probably
a year ago.
It was in the summer.
Oh, okay. So it was like before we even launched the podcast. We were welcoming Dr. Robert Anderson to the podcast, but I brought him to Creation in Santa Monica on Montana with a little jankety jank recorder. And had a convo, and then I played it back. I was like, oh, okay, cool. All you can hear is like plates clanking and other conversations other than ours.
Yeah, I think your sound quality equipment is much better.
Yeah, we've come a long
elevated.
Way.
It's funny too because we were like, we almost wanted to work it into our narrative too. We're like, well, it's kind of like journalistic, it's on site. People feel like they're there. We like tried to make excuses for it, but we didn't.
It was a little too realistic.
Yeah, it was a little too much.
Yeah.
We're so happy
hear the
you're
bacon
here.
snapping. We're so happy you're here. And I'm so glad actually that it was delayed because, well, one, I've gotten to know you better and just what you do a lot better. And I got to come and observe you.
Yeah.
For at least, I was only there for 3.5, 4 hours.
That's a while.
Bob did like 7 surgeries, saw probably 20 patients. Like, it was crazy.
You saw surgeries?
We moved it right along. Well, you were lucky because we had a lot of stuff scheduled. It's not the same every day. And you even got to see things in the laboratory. You saw somebody biopsying an embryo, embryo transfer, egg retrievals, all the monitoring. I mean, she saw everything.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hysteroscopy.
Tell our audience.
She's ready to work.
Yeah, I'm ready to work. Hands on.
You should hire her.
She had the scrubs and the white coat, and
I actually felt very important.
Yeah.
Wow, I get squeamish or skittish. I'm skittish. I don't really like.
Well, I asked her that. I said, are we
Squeamish.
going to be okay in the OR? Because sometimes I take people in the OR and they, first time they see blood or a big needle, they just lose it.
Yeah.
But you were good.
Yeah, it was crazy. We'll get into it. But tell our audience who you are, what you do.
So I am what's called a reproductive endocrinologist. And mostly what we do is infertility treatment, but we do some, reproductive hormone treatment too. I'm based in Newport Beach. Our center is called the Southern California Center for Reproductive Medicine. We founded it 25 years ago.
Wow.
He's been doing this a long
time.
Wow. And he's
very
you're the
reputable.
busiest. I think you're the busiest. When I was in the office, everyone was from another country.
Well,
almost.
not everybody, but we have a lot of people that come from China now because we're right on the coast. We do things they don't do there. Things
Why
that
don't
are
they do
illegal.
them there?
They're illegal. The government really strongly regulates fertility treatment there, and they're not as advanced in the laboratory. So some of the things that we do and we're really good at, they just haven't gotten the skill yet. So, and then they have that thing for a lot of time. They had one baby, per person, per couple.
When did that rule?
It changed about a year ago.
Okay.
So now it's 2.
Okay.
But, we have people that the ones that can come, they don't care about that. If they get pregnant, they don't take the babies away. They just don't let you get pregnant if you already have 1 or 2.
Whoa.
So they come for, the genetic testing, which we'll get into. That's really the biggest part of what we do. Some of them for sex selection, because we know the gender of all the embryos. So if they have a preference, they can.
Do they usually pick boys?
You would think so, but more and more they're picking girls because what's happened over there is for so many years they selected for boys in a way that's really not very ethical. And now they've got a real shortage of girls. So there's all these boys that have grown up and they have nobody to marry.
Wow.
So, it's unbelievable. And so the fertility rate in China is actually dropping because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're choosing for girls.
More of them are
they
now.
like billionaires?
There's so many, there's 1 billion people in China. So there are
just,
so
rich as
many
hell?
people that have so much money. They love coming here because we've got this South Coast Plaza in the Newport area.
It's insane.
With all the luxury stores. All those luxury stores, the items are 25% cheaper than they are in China.
Really?
So they come and just go wild. And they
So
come
they
in
do-
decked out. And,
They get a baby and they get some Louis
and they
Vuitton.
get a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So when did this start to boom? Not only for your business, but what has been happening over the last 30, 40 years in terms of fertility, women's hormone health? Why has your business, has it always been booming? What has been the evolution of it?
Trajectory.
Well, I think it was always kind of busy from when I started doing it because women were delaying childbearing even then, even 30 years ago. But what's changed in the last 30 years is the technology. So we're doing kind of the same types of treatment. We did in vitro fertilization 30 years ago, but the way we did it then was totally different from what we do now. So now it's all about genetically screening the embryos, which is the reason that most IVFs didn't work back then. And in those days, we had nothing. We put embryos in just based on the way they looked. We didn't have the ability to grow them more than a couple of days. Now we grow them out to 7 days. Freezing of embryos wasn't very good. The whole technology was totally different. And so when I started, success rates were 10 to 15% a try. And now if we put a normal embryo in, it's 75 to 80%.
Wow.
So all of that's just because of the technology.
So the screening of embryos is better. So now you're more confident that the embryo will take.
Yeah,
and
because
that
the
it'll
embryos have to be genetically normal. In other words, they have to have the right number of chromosomes or else they either don't implant or they implant and miscarry, or they implant and turn into, Down syndrome or something like that. Yeah. And so we know all of that now in advance. In those days, you just put them in and crossed your fingers, and then the genetic testing wasn't done until, the second trimester. So if you found out you had an abnormal pregnancy at that point, you're pretty far along.
Wow.
Now we find all that out before we ever put one in. So it's made a huge difference.
Wow.
Can you take us through the process of... So there's one process of freezing the eggs.
Yeah.
And that takes about 2 weeks, right? The prep for it. And then it's a totally different process when they want to have the embryo implanted.
Yeah. So what's freezing of it?
Okay, let's take you through that. So before I do that though, maybe we should talk about why you'd want to freeze them in the first place.
Thanks,
okay.
Bob.
I've been asking every other week. I'm like, should I?
Yeah. Well, and I get that all the time.
Would you do it free for her?
We'll talk.
Okay, like a discount?
I might get a few
He's
soul
going to
cycle.
use them. He's going to use them for
We're
people.
going to have a code at the end of this.
I might
Get
have
your
to
eggs frozen.
I might have to get a few soul cycle classes or something. Yeah.
Literally.
For life, Bob. For real.
One class per egg.
Yeah. Well, that's probably pretty good deal. So here's the thing. So women are born with all their eggs. Okay. Men make sperm their entire lives, but women have all their eggs when they're born. The number is usually about 1 to 2 million eggs.
Wow. It's freaky.
By the time they have their
born?
first... Yeah, when you're born. You have all of them. So by the time you have your first menstrual
babies
period...
have eggs?
Yeah. Yeah. By the time you have your first menstrual period, like 12, you've got 100 to 200,000. So you lose 90% of them before you ever even ovulate one.
Wow.
We don't understand why that is.
Where do they go?
Oh.
We don't know. They just disappear.
Horseback riding.
And then after that, you lose groups of them every month until they're gone. So,
Sorry. I always heard I wasn't supposed to horseback ride.
Okay, that's sorry, that doesn't
Horseback
matter.
riding.
You could have.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Okay, so you lose groups of them. You lose.
This is going to be a long interview for you, Bob.
I know, I can
Just
tell.
want to let you know.
Could tell. So you lose groups of them every month until they're gone.
Okay.
Okay, so like at the beginning of a cycle, you may have when you're young, like 20 there that are active. So when you saw the ultrasound we did, you saw those follicles, those little sacs of fluid in the ovaries. There may be 20 of those at the beginning of the month, but only one of them actually ovulates, and you lose the other 19. So you're not just losing one egg per month, you're losing a whole bunch of them, even if you're on birth control pills, even if you're pregnant. So menopause happens 50, 51, 52 in the US. That's when you're out of eggs. It happens earlier for some people because they may not be born with as many. And we're going to talk more about that because that's important when you talk about when somebody should freeze eggs. It's kind of all about, how many do you have? And so there's got to be some way of getting an idea about that. So the reason you only have one grow out of 20 is because of a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. We got to do a little science. Okay.
Let's get into it.
FSH. Okay. And so you make a little bit of FSH and only one egg grows. And then that's the way it works. That's the way it's supposed to work. So when we're trying to freeze eggs or do IVF, we want all 20. And we'll talk about why that is in a minute. And so the way we get all 20 is we give more FSH. So those shots that we talk about or that you hear about are just giving more of the same hormone that you would have made, but enough to make all of them grow.
So it's a naturally occurring hormone, but you can also do
it's the same thing your bodies make. It's identical.
Okay.
We make it from recombinant technology. So
Dead people.
No. They make it in a laboratory, but it's identical to what you make. So we can give it, and it doesn't have any adverse effects. It's not like giving some kind of a medication. It's not like horse estrogen that they used to do for birth control pills. So this is it's physiologic, except for the amount, obviously. And you take that for about 2 weeks. So the people you saw coming in, we were measuring those follicles in the ovaries. They actually grow as the egg inside is maturing. So we don't see the eggs until we take them out because they're microscopic. But we can correlate the size of those follicles with the maturity of the egg.
It's crazy. These follicles were huge.
And so that helps me.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So that helps me to adjust the dosage of the FSH because it can go up or down. We see them every couple of days in the first week or so. And then we actually see them daily at the end so that we know how much to give them and we know when they're ready to come out.
You inject FSH?
You inject it. It's a little subcutaneous needle. It's like what diabetics give insulin with. It's only a half an inch long. It goes right under the skin, like in the front of your leg.
So you do
or
it
under
yourself,
your
or you
abdomen.
have your partner do it or something?
One of my nurses teaches them how to do it. It's really easy.
And this is to freeze your eggs?
It's for any of it. We do the same thing. The only thing that changes is when the eggs come out, what we do with them differs. If we're either going to freeze them or we're going to fertilize them. But the process leading up to that's the same.
And is there any effects in those 2 weeks? Like, are you going to experience like bloating, any of that stuff?
Yeah. And obviously, the symptoms are going to be more if you have more eggs. I have some egg donors that come in that have, 30, 40, 50 eggs.
Wow.
And they get really bloated. I mean, they look 5 months pregnant a week or so after we take them out. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's there's a little there's some discomfort.
Is it water bloat or what's making them bloated?
The ovaries enlarge.
Okay.
And then they leak fluid through the ovaries into their abdomen. We have a medication now that we found about 10 years ago that kind of prevents that, or to a large extent prevents it, but not perfectly. So some of it is from that. And also their intestinal function slows down, so they get kind of constipated. They there's all that from the irritation in the abdomen, from the ovaries.
Wow.
So there's a few days, about a week or so when they're pretty uncomfortable. But it's variable. Some people have 30 eggs and they're like totally fine.
Okay.
And then I've got some with 12 and they're calling me Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just.
I think it's like pain threshold, not pain, but like discomfort threshold. Some people are like, and then other people are like,
yeah,
I've been through worse.
There's definitely that.
You know?
Yeah, there's definitely that.
Okay.
So when we get to the end of that 2 weeks, there's a day where we decide they're ready to take out, and we have to give another medication to cause them to release so that I can take them out. And then we do that 2 days later. So it's a real quick outpatient procedure. Takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You saw how quick they were. They're done under anesthesia, but it's only an IV. So they put an IV in, give some stuff through that. You don't get intubated. You don't breathe any anesthesia. And it's really quick. You wake up, go home about an hour later.
So quick.
So what I actually do is I put in the ultrasound. These are all vaginal ultrasounds, which you saw.
Yeah.
And I have a needle guide attached to the ultrasound probe. And I can see the follicles. They're big. They're like an inch in diameter. And we put a needle through the vaginal wall into each follicle, and I just suction out the fluid inside, and the eggs are floating around in that.
Whoa.
Did you is that the one you invented?
No.
Which
no.
one did you did the ultrasound?
When we're putting in the embryos.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's the one. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk.
Yeah, this was a procedure that we've been doing. You know, when I was in training, that was the first time that they'd done it this way. They used to do laparoscopy, you know, where they did a
cut
abdominal incision and put an instrument through your belly button. And, you know, we did it that way at first, but then they changed to this.
Okay.
So it's really easy.
So
that
you
part's
stick.
easy.
So you're under anesthesia. So you're sleeping,
right?
Essentially, and then you stick something in your vagina, and then you poke
through the vaginal wall.
Through the vaginal wall, because basically we can push that ultrasound
it's
probe.
Thin, right?
Yeah, the vaginal wall is like paper thin.
Does it hurt?
They're not
well,
awake.
If they were awake, it might. But when I first started doing this, we didn't use an anesthesiologist. We used to put an IV and we give them a little Demerol, a little Valium. Most of the time, they were talking to me while I was doing it. You know, so it's not.
Does
that
it repair
bad.
itself?
It's just a needle hole.
Oh, needle.
Yeah, just a needle stick. So there's no incisions or stitches or anything like that.
There is a little blood happening, but that's just like normal.
Well, if you stick a needle through anything, it's going to bleed.
Okay.
You know, but it's not much.
Yeah.
And it stops pretty quick.
Yeah, it was very, like, everything was
And then you
quick.
do it in, so if there's 20 eggs, you do it in 20 eggs.
Right. And so I have an embryologist in the operating room. They have a microscope in a little chamber so we can control the temperature and all that. And I give them the little tubes of fluid, and they look under the microscope and find the eggs.
It's like this little factory. He'd like pass off, get under, and then he's like, how many do we have? Cool. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
And I was like, oh man, this is a lot of eggs.
Yeah, literally.
No, well, we had
how many more
one
eggs we got?
We had one that day that had a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Like she had
crazy.
30 or something.
So you went in 30 eggs and pulled them out.
Yeah, but it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
it's-
It's not
Sorry,
that
you
long.
went in 30 eggs and pulled out embryos.
No.
Eggs.
Eggs.
You went-
Embryos are fertilized
Okay.
eggs. So we just take the eggs out.
Okay.
Okay. And so then what happens is then we're deciding if we're freezing them or if we're going to use them to try to get them pregnant right away. So if we're freezing them, they take them up to the lab, and a couple hours later they freeze them. It's a process that is kind of newish. We started doing it this way about 10 years ago. It's called vitrification. And basically you're going from room temperature right into liquid nitrogen, like they just plunge it in there. They have to take the water out of the eggs as best you can first, and then you just put them in liquid nitrogen, which is like
Little Dippin' Dots.
minus 300 degrees centigrade, something like that. Before 10 years ago, and the reason why you didn't hear a lot about egg freezing before about 10 years ago is the procedure we had for that was terrible for eggs. It just didn't work well. So most of the time when you went to thaw them out, they weren't alive with that old method. And that's because eggs have a lot of water in them. The old method, they would form ice crystals when we were trying to freeze them, and those ice crystals would damage part of the egg that you need for fertilization. So even if they did survive, the fertilization rate was really low. So, I mean, although we could do it, it didn't really work very well. This one works way better. So, you know, we don't have to worry about ice crystals. We can fertilize 3/4 of them. You know, 90% of them or better survive the freezing and thawing. So it's just like been a game changer.
Wow. Okay. And then so they're frozen. And so do you have donors?
We have some egg donors. That's a whole nother thing.
And what do they apply or?
Yeah, because they get paid to do this.
How
you know?
much?
Like on this coast,
Just range.
It's about $7,500 to $10,000.
Damn. So would it be cheaper like someplace in Middle America?
You know, the problem in Middle America is there's not a lot of egg donor agencies or places where they do it. So on the coast, that's where you find most of them.
$10,000.
That's kind of an
Bob's
average.
wife runs a egg donor agency. Yeah. I think one of the patients at least was a donor. Or no, she was a surrogate. Never
Yeah.
mind. She wasn't a donor. She was a surrogate. Okay, we'll get into that too.
And so would you apply to be an egg donor?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have like a file. So then you would have to know that you might have a child in the world.
Well,
right?
it's like sperm donation's
Yeah.
been around forever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
And those
yeah.
guys have, because it's so easy to donate sperm, they have lots, some of them have lots of kids out in the world. But it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit more involved to get it.
But you have to be younger. You have to be younger, right? Like,
Well, yeah.
or like 29
Well, like 30
is the max.
30s, yeah, we don't really do them if they're over 30.
So it's my last year. Make 10 G's. How many eggs could I donate?
I don't know. It depends on how many you have.
Damn. So I can make $100,000 this year.
You better get,
Girl,
you
you're
better
gonna
get
be-
on it.
You're going to be real uncomfortable
Yeah.
for most of the weeks.
Would it hurt?
Yeah, they
have
got to
to do
go
the
through the
whole
same
process.
process.
Oh, I know.
The-
But would I be in pain for a lot of my life?
Well, no, for maybe a week.
Oh, a week.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's too much.
But I mean, someone has to pick you. The way it works is these girls apply to be donors.
Look at me, Bob.
I know. Somebody would pick you for sure.
For real.
But
I'd get picked.
You, it's just a matter of what people are looking for.
I know there'd be a superstar in the world and I would know of them. So when they came to be a superstar, I'd be like, that's my baby.
That's my kid. This is my kid.
The things
That's my baby.
it's all done anonymously.
Wow.
So-
And it's like a legal thing. Like you
Of
can't
course.
legally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't know. In California, they didn't used to have laws for this, but now we do. So whenever a donor's going to donate, they have to sign a waiver that basically says they give up their right to knowing anything about what happens with the eggs. So the couples see their pictures, they know all about them, but they don't know their names. And the donors don't know anything about the couples.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really anonymous.
What are the most of your donors like?
They're like college girls. They're like normal,
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay,
Trying
so
to make a buck.
Anyway, we kind of got off the topic.
yeah, so
but
two options. So
That's
you
how we
freeze
do.
the eggs, and then, but what if people want to, immediately fertilize?
well, they can do that. Then we inject.
What's the timing?
Well, we do it the same day. So like a couple hours later after we take them out,
Yeah.
we actually inject a sperm right into the egg.
Oh,
Like
so
one.
in a dish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like their husband's sperm or
Yeah.
something or
Okay.
whatever.
And then after that, the next day when we look at them, we can see if they fertilized because some of them do and some of them don't. And then they grow in the laboratory for another 5 or 6 days.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is because a fertilized egg is only one big cell. After 5 to 6 days, each embryo is made of hundreds of smaller cells, all of which have the same genetic makeup. So that's how we can do the genetic testing. We can take 3 to 5 cells off of each embryo without harming it
Wow.
and use the DNA in those 3 to 5 cells to figure out if the embryo is normal or not.
Within that 6-day period.
No, it takes longer. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
the minute so what we do is once we take the cells off, about an hour later where we took them from is healed, and then we freeze the embryos. So now we're freezing them either way, either as eggs or we're freezing them as embryos. We send the cells off. It takes about a week to get the results back. But then once we have that, they can put one back in anytime they want. And they know
Cool.
the
So
gender
they'll know
of
if it's
them. They know
good
their
before they put it back
Exactly.
in.
Yeah. That's why it's changed the success rate so much.
Wow. Sorry, is sex determined by the sperm or the egg?
By the sperm.
By the sperm.
All the eggs have X chromosomes, and the sperm are either X or Y.
Wow. So could you look at the sperm and say this is a Y sperm? and
It'd
we
be
choose
nice
this?
if you could, and people would love to do that. And there's been a lot of attempts to try to figure out that, but it doesn't work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do
So
you have
kinda,
a lot
kinda
of
get
your-
what you get.
A lot of your patients are choosing gender now or no? What's
About
the
half.
majority? Okay.
About half. It's funny. We have some people that want us to pick. They don't want to know. So we have or they want to find out later. So we have this thing, this egg.
You're like God.
No. So we have this thing, these eggs that they're really like a hen's egg.
Okay.
They're made out of plastic, and you crack them open, and it's either blue or pink inside. So they can later on decide whenever they want to find out if they
Oh,
don't
you
find
can
out.
have a
from
little
us.
egg.
Yeah,
It's like a little party gift.
yeah, right,
That's
exactly.
cool.
And then some of them, we had one family. This is kind of weird, but they brought in a ballot box. They had all their family members vote on what they should have,
Oh my God.
and then they didn't want to know, so we had to count the ballots and figure out what it was we were.
You're like,
putting
this is
in.
an extra charge.
Yeah, it was a little,
Literally.
but usually, if they don't want to know, then the embryologist pick what they think are the best ones to put in.
Okay.
But the other thing is, because we know they're normal, we only put in one at a time. When I started doing this, depending on how old you were, we might put in 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Now we don't have to do that. So the multiple pregnancy problem that you kind of associated with IVF for a long time, where people were having a lot of twins and triplets and quadruplets and all that, and we had plenty of them, we don't worry about that anymore.
Oh. So talk to me about what you invented that made the when you're putting the egg in the embryo?
Yeah, the embryo in the uterus. Well, we used to put embryos in. You saw
blind,
how
right?
we did it. Yeah, we just did it by feel. So you have this little plastic tube, and you look, through a speculum like you're doing a Pap smear, and put this catheter through their cervix. And when you felt like it was at the top, you just put the embryo in, and that was it.
Blind,
it was blind. And now I know after using ultrasound that, it doesn't always end up in the right place. We get tubal pregnancies. We get some that just didn't implant and they were probably in the wrong place. You really can't tell by feel. So I started using the same ultrasound that we use for the egg monitoring, the follicle measurements, in the embryo transfer room to see exactly where the embryos go. So when we started, the reason I did is I had a patient, we'd look at their uterine linings, and sometimes they were good, sometimes they weren't. And I had this patient that had little patches where it was good and other places where it was bad. And we did a couple cycles and she didn't get pregnant. I thought, well, if I could put it in the good part, maybe that would work. So I used my ultrasound, practiced on a few other patients first. All of them got pregnant when we did it that way. So then this was in the days when we were putting in more than one. I put 2 in her in the good part and she had twins.
No.
So after that, I was like, oh, I think I'm onto something. So
what makes it good and what makes it bad?
The lining or the
kind of the thickness.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. So I did a whole bunch of them. We presented at a meeting, wrote a paper, wrote a book chapter, and
And I'm a millionaire.
It was good. No, I didn't make any money from it.
Really?
No, I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. It was just, advancing the profession, advancing science.
Yeah.
That's why you do
Cool.
it.
Yeah.
So did you like the thing that the needle or whatever, does it, I didn't see when you were doing it.
It was plastic. It's soft. It's like a piece of wet pasta.
It's attached to the ultrasound?
No,
it's just
I had the ultrasound in one hand and that tube in the other hand. So it's like.
Oh, so it's not, okay. Got it. Whoa.
Okay, so we should probably backtrack a little bit and talk about why you would freeze eggs in the first place.
I love you.
Thank you, Bob. I told Bob, I said, Bob and I had breakfast before this. I said, Bob, I need you to take the reins, okay? Like, this is your show.
Okay. Taking the reins.
Okay, so I'm going to give Krista this graph.
Okay, we're looking at a graph.
I just learned how to read.
We'll link it on
it's
in
on
the show notes.
It's on my website. Yeah.
It's on Bob's website. What's your website?
It's SoCalFertility.com.
Great. Okay.
All right. So what also happens as women get older, not only do they have fewer eggs because they're losing them, but the percentage of those eggs that are genetically normal starts going down. And it goes down a lot once you're over 40. But even when you're young, if you look at that graph that I just showed you, the first one, when you're 20 to 25 years old, those are our egg donors. All right. So these are people, this data comes from people where we've actually tested the embryo. So we know how many of their eggs are normal and how many are not. So the 20 to 25-year-olds, only 1 in 3 of their eggs are normal.
Whoa.
If you look at 30 to 34, it's about 1 out of 4.
It's not that bad.
No.
It just depends on how many eggs you have.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. This is the percentage. You could have, if you get 10 eggs and 1 out of 5 are normal, you got 2 normals.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, most of the ones that we take out are not normal, even in younger women. And if you get to look at the ones when they're 41, 42, only 1 in 16 or 17 are normal. By 43, 44, it's 1 in 20.
Does it depend on genetics, nutrition, like all of that? Like what?
Nope.
No.
It's what you have. You're born with what you have, and that's it. You can't change. When I'm talking about genetically normal, we're talking about, does the egg have the right number of chromosomes? Okay, so each normal egg is supposed to have 23, and then the sperm has 23, and that makes the embryo have 46, which is a normal number. So if you've got an egg that has 22, there's nothing you can eat that's going to cause another chromosome to show up. I mean, that egg's going to have 22 no matter what you do.
Can you reduce the rate at which you're losing your eggs or no?
Nope.
Really? That's crazy. I thought we could talk preventative.
There's unfortunately...
It's just happening.
No, there's no prevention. So the other issue then is that some women have more eggs than others. We see these girls that come in that want to be egg donors, some of them who are very young. And one of the things I always do is an ultrasound so I can see what their ovaries look like to see if they have a lot of eggs or not. And some of them don't have very many, even if they're under 25.
And they're like, oh my God, I wanted to buy a new nose with my egg donation.
Well, I mean, so that's a problem. So if you're talking about,
you could look. Did you get an ultrasound?
No.
Oh, I meant to do that. I meant to have some.
Can we get ultrasounds? I want to see my egg situation.
Because here's the thing. Well, here's a couple things about that. One is birth control pills will suppress your ovaries and make it look like you don't have very many. So if someone's been on birth control pills for a long time, their ovaries get very quiet, even the young egg donors. So sometimes what we have to do is get them off for a month or so, and then their ovaries look good again.
Okay.
Right? But however many you have is however many you have. So if you don't have very many, I mean, the birth control pills will make it worse, but it's not going to get any better.
Cool.
I mean, it can fluctuate a little bit month to month, but not that much.
Okay.
There's also a blood test you can do called AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. And this is a substance.
You told me to do that.
Yeah, it's a substance that's made by every egg you've got left in your ovaries. So the higher the level, the more eggs you have.
Oh.
The lower the level, the fewer.
Okay.
So if you did that plus an ultrasound, you kind of know I'm in good shape. I got a lot of eggs left, or this doesn't look so good. Maybe I should think about egg freezing.
Okay.
Sorry. So you have 20 eggs a month.
That's an
average.
I mean, just
on average,
picking a number. I mean, some do. I mean, that's kind of an average number for somebody who's like under 30.
Okay.
And you recommend like people get it tested to see how many they have, and then do you recommend like maybe 33, 34? Like when should they definitely?
Well,
get
and if you look at that graph I showed you, the difference between 30 to 34 and 35 to 37 is not much. It goes from like 1 out of 4 normal to 1 out of 5 normal. So it's not hugely different.
Wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah. Well, but that means 80% of them are not normal.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So then it depends on, am I someone who has a lot of eggs or not? And if you don't have very many and only 1 out of 5 is normal,
you should freeze them sooner rather than later.
Exactly. So I can't say, look, here's an age where everybody should, by then they should freeze their eggs. There really isn't that. It's kind of subjective. So you got to look at, how many do I have? How long do I think I really want to delay getting pregnant? Some people are doing this, for career or whatever. I mean, if you look at Facebook and Apple gave their employees $20,000 to freeze their eggs because they want them to work.
Right.
But even if you don't do that.
Yeah, you didn't hear that. That's crazy. It's crazy.
So, I mean, that's nice because, I think there's a lot of, and you guys probably see this, there's a lot of turmoil probably when somebody's thinking, I really got a career that's going here. I don't have time to be pregnant and take off time and do all that stuff. But, also the clock is ticking. So this is kind of one way to mitigate that a little bit if you're interested in doing it.
Wow. When you have like 2 of the 20 eggs that are good and then, the 18 are bad. Does bad mean that they are missing a chromosome or that they won't attach or what exactly?
Well, it means they're either missing some chromosomes. Sometimes they have extra ones. Sometimes it's both. The bottom line is if they don't have, there's 23 pairs of chromosomes you're supposed to have. Anything that's different from that is not normal.
Is the chance of it attaching and not living or?
Well, abnormal embryos will do one of 3 things. They just won't even attach.
Okay.
Or they'll attach and then miscarry eventually sometime in the first, 12 weeks. Or if it's like a Down syndrome, I mean, you see those people walking around. So they can go all the way out to full term and be born. So it just depends on what the abnormality is.
Yeah.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Silver Fern. Hey, you guys remember when we had Charity Layton on the podcast? We talked all about gut health and how to heal your body by healing your gut. It's so incredible, the gut-mind connection. And we are just fascinated by the microbiome and have been using Silver Fern products ever since. Their probiotics are amazing. Their digestive enzymes are incredible. They survive in the large intestines, which I didn't know most don't. Therefore, they are ineffective. You need a probiotic. Most people suffer from gut bacteria imbalance, which causes a imbalance of metabolism and weight gain, and even your mood. But most recently, I just wanted to highlight one of their products, the Endurance Energy Drink Mix. It's a raspberry lemonade flavor. And I use it before a workout. It elevates my body's ability to have increased energy capacity and generates more energy for a longer period of time. So I'm not feeling this like, oh my God, I'm ready to work out. Oh God, find me a dumbbell. It's like over time and it's sustained. That's why they call it endurance. And honestly, it definitely helps my mood. And it's also gluten-free, which I love. So try that out. You can go to silverfernbrand.com and use our code almost30 for 15% off. And get ready because on May 7th, Silver Fern is launching their plant-based probiotic protein mix, and we are going to help them give you guys a sneak peek. So stay tuned for that on all of our social media at Almost 30 Podcast on Instagram. We're so excited to be working with Silver Fern, this brand we believe in, and they do their due diligence and really deliver the highest quality products. Love you guys. This episode is also brought to you by Olivine Atelier. Okay, ladies, you need to know about this brand. I have to say that it's my favorite new part of my self-care routine. I was never one to wear a scent. Maybe when I was young, I wore like a Victoria's Secret overload with sparkles and it smelled like country apple or something like that. But I am just so grateful that Olivine Atelier's founder, Julie, has created these perfumes and body mists that are so special and so carefully blended with love. And she curates these scents so that women can feel sexy and free and alive. And I really do. I gotta say, I've gotten so many compliments about these scents. Right now, I am wearing the Amongst the Waves perfume. I've been loving that this week. It's really warm. So I tap it on my neck and I get a lot of compliments. Also obsessed with Love and Salt. This is a cult favorite. Okay, I don't want to tell too many people about it because I'm afraid it's going to sell out. But Love and Salt is a beach, hair, and body mist. So I spray it after the shower in my hair, on my body. It is so delicious. And it gives me those beach waves. You know, like after you've been to the beach for a few hours, maybe you've been in the ocean and your hair dries and it looks amazing. This is what it does in a bottle. She has perfumes, rituals, face products, hair products. I just adore this brand. You can get crystals on the site. You can get sage, sage with rose quartz. It's beautiful. Please visit shopolivine.com, shopolivine.com. Use our code almost30. Forget this, 20% off. That's a big discount. Use our code almost30 for 20% off. Love and Salt is my favorite. Also wearing Amongst the Waves right now. Love you guys.
The first part was taking out the eggs, fertilizing them, genetically testing them, and freezing them. So once that's done, then it's up to the person to decide when they want to put one back. It could be next month. It could be next year. It could be 5 years from now. Doesn't matter because once they're frozen and tested, when we thaw them out, they're just like they were fresh. I mean, our freezing method for embryos is really good.
Wow.
So when they decide they're ready to put one in, then all we care about is getting their uterus ready. So remember we talked about the uterine lining and making sure it was thick enough. We give them estrogen and we give them progesterone, just like in a natural cycle. So we know how much to give so that it's perfect. And we just measure the thickness of their uterine lining once a week. It usually takes about 2 weeks to get it ready. Once it's ready, we start the progesterone, and then 5 days later, we put the embryo in. So we're just kind of concentrating on making them receptive for that embryo to implant. Wow. And so if we've got a perfectly prepared uterus and a perfectly genetically normal embryo, that's why it works.
And beyond that, do they need any extra checkups like throughout, or you're like, hey, you're pregnant now?
No, we follow our pregnant patients for the first 12 weeks. So we do weekly ultrasounds. It's probably overkill, but we just like to make sure everything's developing properly. And, sometimes we can see things that could be a problem, like they're having bleeding in the uterus or something's wrong. We can, help that out a little bit.
And why wouldn't a uterine lining be like thick and healthy?
Well, that's a good question because those are the toughest cases I have right now. There's some women where no matter what I give them, estrogen, or sometimes there's something we can give that stimulates the uterine lining to grow. Some people, it just doesn't. You know, if you're one of those people, there's certain things we can try, but there's a certain percentage of them that end up having to use a surrogate because we just can't get their uterine lining to grow.
Right.
And I don't know why they can't. There's actually a guy in Spain that's starting to do experimentally a stem cell treatment where he's injecting stem cells into the uterine arteries. It's like really experimental.
Oh.
And in a certain percentage of people, when he does that, the uterine linings can start to grow normally. So that may be something that we can do down the line.
Wow.
Okay.
But right now, there's just some people that I can't, there's nothing I can do. I've tried all sorts of tricks with medications and things, and even Viagra. We put in Viagra vaginally to make the blood flow to the uterus better.
Wow.
And sometimes that works and sometimes
Like a little
it doesn't.
pill up there?
It's a pill.
You just put a pill up there?
Yeah.
Did they get horny?
No, it just makes their blood flow improve.
It's a good question.
Yeah, they got like a little clit boner.
Yeah, it doesn't do that. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. I've never asked them.
That's so funny.
Ask them.
So, but those people have to use surrogates. So that's,
Where do you help find surrogates as well?
there are agencies for that too.
Agencies.
Yeah. And we do a lot of that now because you can't do that in China. So we have a lot of Chinese patients that come.
You can't have a surrogate in China.
It's not allowed.
It was cool. Like I don't think it was one of your Chinese patients, but there was a surrogate and then like the agent, and then they put the mother on FaceTime. Was that the deal? Or the agent was on FaceTime?
Yeah.
It was like this virtual conversation in the doctor's appointment. And it was
Yeah,
cool. And everyone was kind of like online, like seeing the baby and all the stuff.
It was the intended
cool.
parent, that they're FaceTiming.
Intended parent, yeah.
Yeah. It was really
That was
cool.
cool.
I mean, this is like 2018, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's how I contact the patients in China the first time. We have a consultation with Skype or WeChat. So we don't really meet them until they come over and their treatment's going. But we can make the plan and they can kind of talk about what we're doing and all that stuff.
Wow.
Bob's learned Mandarin.
Well,
And he's hired many
learned
people in your
little,
office.
I've learned a little Mandarin.
But you've had to hire people who are fluent in Mandarin.
Oh, yeah.
Mandarin.
I have 3 people that can speak Mandarin. And we have to because we have so many of those patients.
Wow.
As you'll see on my website, it's all in Mandarin too. It's translated.
Wow.
Smart.
Yeah. I mean, we had to do that.
Do they like stay in Newport? So if they were to do the process, would they come and stay in Newport for like months?
Usually they can't do that because their visas don't allow them to do that. So they need to come for that 2-week part. You know, the husbands, a lot of times they're working. So they'll come, freeze some sperm, and then they go back. The wives stay for, 2 to 3 weeks until their eggs are out. Then they go back. And then whenever they're going to come back for the embryo transfer, they have to stay another 2 or 3 weeks then.
Okay.
So it's not that bad. Some of them stay, for the whole thing if they can.
A little vacation.
Yeah. Well, they like coming here.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about like kind of the realness of this? I know like what I liked about your bedside manner with the patients was that you were really honest. You were very like kind and direct, but like honest about, this process is not guaranteed. So how do you communicate that to them, and what are you saying, and what should our listeners maybe who are interested in eventually freezing their eggs or doing in vitro or having a surrogate, like what do they need to know so that their expectations aren't skewed by like marketing? I feel like we were talking about this before, this morning, like just about being marketed that, like IVF is so easy and you just like, pop out a baby.
I think it's always been my approach to give people as much information as we can. I don't want to mislead them into thinking that this is perfect because it's not. So we tell them right up front when they have the first consultation what they should expect. So I show them that same graph that I showed you. Everybody sees that first time I talk to them. And then I have to tell them when it comes to egg freezing that there's some people whose eggs just don't freeze very well. But the problem is you don't know that until you thaw them out and try to use them. And that may be years down the line. So when we take out, let's say we take out 20 eggs from a 30-year-old, there's nothing we can do at the time that we freeze them that tells us if any of them are good.
Wow.
Or whether or not they're even going to survive the freezing and thawing. So back in 2008, when we started doing this vitrification procedure that I told you about, we did a study because we had the old method and then this new method had just come along. So we wanted to compare the two. So we did a study in our laboratory where we used egg donors. So they were all young. And half the eggs would be frozen one way, half the eggs would be frozen the other way. And then we compared it, So what we found, because we were thawing all of them out, because like a month later we thawed them out to fertilize them to see. And there were some women, even young ones, where their eggs just didn't freeze and thaw well. I mean, they were just terrible. And others where they were like perfect. And the problem is you don't know that in advance. So I hear all these egg freezing seminars. They have these, meetings where the doctor will have drinks with them in a restaurant or something, and it's like a party, and they talk about, they call them egg freezing parties.
What?
And I think they've done it around here. I know there are some.
Really? Like a Tupperware party, but you freeze your eggs?
Exactly.
But they're trying to get people to freeze their eggs.
Yeah, it's a marketing tool.
Cool.
But I think a lot of times they just talk about it like it's a perfect thing. Like, this is definitely going to hedge against any, delayed fertility. And for a lot of people, that's very true. But there's going to be some people where it isn't the case. We've certainly thawed some out. And this happened like a couple of months ago where we thawed out this woman's eggs. She froze like 11 and they were all terrible. None of them made it out to the point where we could do the genetic testing. They all stopped developing. So they probably weren't normal, or the freezing damaged them somehow.
Right.
And other times you do it and it's perfect, but the problem is there's just that unknown. So we tell them that up front. I'm not going to promise to everybody this is a guarantee, because it's not.
Do you have any theories as to why one person's eggs would be better than others?
It's probably got more to do with the freezing process. It's a stress. Anytime you do that kind of thing, that's not a natural type of thing. So some of them just tolerate it better. And why it is, we don't really know.
Probably because they eat good.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
That's what I want to come back to this.
And probably the vegans, theirs really don't freeze well.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Bobby.
No, it's really probably not that.
Yeah.
I wish there was something, but as far as we know, there really
Do you
isn't.
find a certain nationality has more eggs than others? Like, was more fertile?
I guess I better be careful how I answer that. We've seen some differences, like Asian women. This isn't a sure thing, but a lot of them don't have as many eggs. We've certainly seen that.
Yeah.
Hispanic women tend to have lots of eggs.
Wow.
But I mean, there's obviously variation. It's not really just like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Interesting. What have you seen in terms of like the relationships, like the partners that come in? Are you talking to them differently? Like if it's a partnership or if it's a single person, like I feel like it's emotional, like this whole process too. Like how do you like tap into that side of it as well? Or do you not?
Well, everybody who does what I do is an amateur psychologist. I mean, you have to be,
Literally.
So it's extremely emotional. There's ups, there's downs. You can imagine somebody who's actually trying to get pregnant. They do it repeatedly and it doesn't work. Now it's like they don't get a normal one. They don't get a normal one. They don't get a normal one. It takes its toll. They feel inadequate. They feel like there's something wrong with me. They want it really badly, and a lot of them are used to being able to get whatever they want by just working harder at it. Well, this is one area where it doesn't work that way. And that just takes a toll on relationships. We've had patients who were married and they went through all this and they ended up getting divorced afterwards.
Oh, it's a bummer.
I mean, probably things were bad, but this just kind of pushed them over the edge, So there's certainly a part of it that's that. And, you have to be mindful of that when you're dealing with anybody, because they'll come in and they'll just start crying, and it's just.
How many people cry a week?
Fortunately, most of the ones that are crying now are crying because they're happy.
Oh, good.
The first time we show them the heartbeat, I mean, that's
what's your
even the
success
guys,
rate, Bob?
It's like 75 to 80%.
That's crazy.
You put in a normal embryo, and most of the time it works.
Wow.
So, I mean, there was last week, for instance, we had 2 days. I had 7 pregnancy tests on one day, 6 the next day. 12 of the 13 were positive.
Wow.
It's never been like this.
That
it's
one
great.
woman came in with her husband, and it was her 4th baby with you?
Yeah.
4th baby with Bob.
They all worked.
Is she not crazy?
Was she not trying on her own?
No, it was all from IVF. And she, you know what? That woman actually was an egg donor when she was younger.
Really?
With me. Yeah, we knew her when she was really young and she was an egg
cute.
donor.
She was so sweet.
That was so fun, yeah.
Bringing the kids. Wait, so funny side note. I know Bob's kids, and didn't Sloan date like someone you created?
Yes. Yes.
I think that's hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
You've been
How
doing
old's
this.
Sloan?
She's 22.
How'd you find that out?
Well, she was in high school, and we were at the, when you have prom and you go to somebody's house and you take all the prom pictures.
Yeah. You bring your gun, make sure nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. So we knew she'd been going out with this kid for a while. And so we were at somebody's house, and his parents weren't there yet. So we were taking pictures of the two of them and, whatever. So then in walks these two people, and I immediately knew them. I didn't know that they were his parents, but I was like, they came up and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I remembered that, they'd had a couple of kids with us. And then they walked over, and then that's their son. Like,
that crazy.
This is crazy.
And Sloan's like, "Geez, Dad."
Yeah. And so I was telling Sloan, you guys, you can't get dates, so I actually have to make them for you.
Damn, Bob.
We were joking.
That's classic. That's a good one.
But then she would tell, people, my dad made him.
She thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the other day, I had a patient her mother was my patient.
Really?
Aww.
That freaked me out. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Really?
Like, oh my God.
Whoa.
I've been doing this a long time.
That is
Now I'm starting to see the children of my patients.
That's the coolest. I think that's so cool, though.
Do people ever adopt too?
Oh, of course.
They're like, okay, this is not working. I need to adopt.
Well, I mean, some of them, this isn't cheap. We didn't talk about this, but
we got to talk about
egg freezing costs about $10,000, right around that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to pay each year you keep them frozen?
It's like a few $100s.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not the biggest part of it. But, some people have insurance that pays for it. Most of them don't. So for a lot of people.
Insurance will pay for it?
For some of them do, yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
A lot of the tech companies, people with lots of young employees are starting to get fertility benefits.
Wow.
It's like Disney. They have good fertility benefits because they have a lot of employees.
Wow.
So, for most people, it's expensive, and some of them can't afford it. So they go the adoption route, or they've tried it, back in the old days when it didn't work that well. After a few tries, if they're out of money and it didn't work, then that's kind of the direction they went.
So the freezing of the eggs is $10,000, and then is there when you implant the egg and the embryo, that's another fee?
Yeah, because they've got to thaw them out, fertilize them, genetically test them, refreeze them, and then go through the whole process of getting the uterus ready. So that's probably another 10.
Wow.
Like 20.
But that's down the line.
Yeah, sure.
How much is a surrogate?
Those are really expensive.
Like 70?
Around that, the surrogates, you got to do the IVF part.
Oh,
So that's like 20. Yeah. And the surrogates get paid about 30.
Okay.
And then the attorneys and the agencies that do all the stuff with them is
Another
like about another 30.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, it gets close to 100,000.
Can you imagine what Kim K paid?
I know.
Mil, at least.
Yeah, lap of luxury.
Yeah.
There's a whole, there's issues with surrogate organizations sometimes, correct?
Well, there have been in the past. I mean, they're pretty good these days. And, the attorneys are really good. The ones that have done this a lot. First of all, in certain states, if somebody has a surrogate deliver a baby, you have to adopt the baby after they deliver it because the surrogate's name goes on the birth certificate. In California, we don't have that. In California, as long as the attorney files certain documents, we have to, sign all these things saying what we did. And as long as they do that, then the intended parent's name goes on the birth certificate. So they don't have to adopt the baby afterwards. So in California, it's really good. That's why we have a lot of people coming here to do surrogacy because in other states, they don't have that.
Wow.
How many times can a surrogate have a baby? I know it varies, but do you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, in order to be a surrogate, you have to have had some successful pregnancies. So a lot of them, you don't do it on someone who's never been pregnant.
Oh.
Okay.
So most of them will have had one or two already. And they probably top it out at 5 or 6, something like that. Because when we start getting pregnant that many times, then that increases risks for the surrogate.
Sure.
Yeah.
For the birth control thing. So we were talking about, when you're on birth control, it sort of levels out your hormones and your eggs are just sort of chilling.
Yep.
Okay.
I've heard some of your episodes.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob has something to say about the
No,
hormone
I've
stuff
listened to a lot of your episodes. I really have. I mean, a lot of them are great.
Do you LOL?
No.
You don't laugh out loud, Bob?
No.
Really?
Well, I mean, laugh.
Okay.
First, I probably do.
Bob barely laughs, but he laughs inside.
You laugh.
No, I laugh because most of the time I'm in my car driving up here. And I listen to him.
Well, let me just say, Bob is Kelly LeVec's biggest fan, and
that's where I got Kelly from. I mean, that was great.
He's one of her clients.
She's probably had
changed his
the
life.
biggest impact in my life. Oh yeah,
yeah,
easily lost 20 pounds. That's fat.
crazy. And
It's
like
amazing.
It is amazing.
his focus, like your brain
Well, I
fog.
used to be falling asleep in the afternoon. I'd be talking
so
to patients,
happy for
like
you.
trying to keep my eyes open.
What was your diet like before?
It was like normal.
Okay.
You know, I don't think it was abnormal, but now I'm keto. So that was what made the hugest difference. Because now I don't have, you don't have the ups and downs of the blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're metabolizing fat, you're like burning. If you don't eat, it just comes off your body.
Love that.
Like 20 pounds of fat came off
That's amazing.
in 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
And you can keep it off if you keep eating that way. So it's been great. So anyway, I've heard some of the people talk about hormone balancing. And the only thing I want to say about that is what they're really talking about probably is restoring the normal hormone cyclicity, right? So if you measure somebody's estrogen level every day through the cycle and you measure their progesterone level every day through the cycle, what you see is the estrogen starts from 0. And in the first half of the cycle, it starts to grow up gradually. And then right around the time of ovulation, it goes way up. And then it comes down after ovulation and then it goes down. And then the second half of the cycle, it goes up a little bit about a week after ovulation. Then it goes back down to 0 if you're not pregnant. There's no progesterone in the first half of the cycle at all. So it only starts getting made when ovulation happens. It just goes up and then it comes down if you're not pregnant. So if you think about that, if you can measure somebody's hormones just on a random day, the information that you get is going to be nonsense. Because if you measure it in the first half of the cycle, there's no progesterone.
I think it's like between day 19 and 22 or something.
Well, that's because that's when the peak progesterone level
that's when
should be.
They like measure it 4 times throughout a day or something.
Yeah, and that's fine. So, but what you're really doing is some people don't ovulate, so they don't make any progesterone. They're just making estrogen all the time, no progesterone. Well, that's not good. So what they're really trying to do is reestablish an ovulatory pattern. It's not balancing the hormones. It's just getting your hormonal, environment back to the way it's supposed to be if you're ovulating. When you're on birth control pills, you don't ovulate. So you're giving a little estrogen and a little progestin, something like progesterone, every single day of the cycle. Sometimes they have these tricyclic ones where they, give a little bit and they change the ratio in the middle and then it goes back down at the end. But basically it's preventing ovulation. So your body isn't making estrogen or progesterone on its own. So that kind of shuts everything down. But you're getting artificial estrogen and artificial progesterone-like stuff.
That's so crazy.
All the way through. And then when you stop it, you have a period. So there's nothing normal or physiologic about that.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Well,
I was begging my sister yesterday to get off birth control.
But the thing is, it works
Please,
really
Lord
well if you're
God.
trying to use it as a contraceptive because you're,
I know.
that's what.
There's so many other things now that you can use
There
that are natural.
That's true. But that's what we've had for a long, long time.
And I think too, so I was thinking with the hormone thing is I think they want to make sure that we're balanced in the relationship between estrogen, progesterone, and then cortisol. And then DHEA, you know what I mean? Making sure that your levels are like in a balance, right? So that you're ovulating on time, you're feeling like yourself, your emotions are under control, and like your weight is under control because when it's out of balance, you are too, right?
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is if you're not ovulating normally, like women with PCOS, you guys talked about PCOS. Those women don't
What is
ovulate.
PCOS again?
Polycystic ovary syndrome.
Okay. And is it genetic?
Maybe. We don't really know what causes it. One of the
wow.
things that can cause it is being really overweight. So somebody who comes in and they weigh 220 pounds and they're not ovulating. I've had patients who, for all intents and purposes, look like PCOS. They lost the weight, and guess what? The ovaries went back to normal and they started ovulating again.
Wow.
So there's definitely a relationship between body mass and normal ovulatory function.
Interesting.
So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and what is it again exactly like?
Well, it's a syndrome where you don't ovulate ever.
Okay.
So women who have that have to have an ovulation as part of it.
Okay.
They have to have some evidence that they have too much androgen, the male hormones, so either testosterone or DHEA sulfate, which is made in the adrenal glands, or they have excess body hair.
Yeah.
So those are the two kind of major things. This business of what the ovaries look like on the ultrasound, where they have this characteristic appearance, that's not part of the diagnostic criteria. So I see a lot of people who are told they have PCOS because they have a lot of follicles in their ovaries, and they really don't. They're ovulating normally. They don't have it.
And anything with acne too, like a cystic acne.
That's because of the testosterone. Yeah.
Right.
So there's normally a balance between androgen, the male hormones, and estrogen, the female hormones, in men and women both. And in women, the estrogen is supposed to predominate. Well, people who have PCOS, the androgen predominates. So that's why they have acne and excess hair growth, and sometimes their voice gets deeper and all that stuff, and why they don't feel good. Estrogen is the feel-good hormone. So menopausal women, when they don't make estrogen anymore, that's why they have all the symptoms that they're famous for, because they feel terrible. That's why people get PMS. When their estrogen level goes down right before the period starts, that's when they feel the worst. And then when it starts going back up, then they feel good again.
Sorry, that was a PCOS tangent, but
we needed to talk about
that because a lot of honestly, now I'm like, when I see people too, sometimes, I've had actually a couple riders ask me, like, they're dealing with a lot of like acne.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about it today too.
They'll never say facial hair, but you can see stuff, and I won't ever like diagnose ever, but I'm always like check, like PCOS is a thing. This is a thing. Maybe you should be looking into that, because they're more worried. They're like, oh, well, I'm sweating so much. Like, that's why I have acne.
People always go to the topical.
They go to the topical.
I was talking to someone today, and they're like, I'm like breaking out, blah, blah. And it's like, so I stopped using all my products. I'm like, it's the last thing.
Yeah, it's really internal, probably.
It's internal. It's your digestion. It's your like stress levels. It's your hormones. So much of that, more so than like what you're putting on your face, I think.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, BioClarity. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know I'm talking about it probably too much. I love BioClarity. I believe in this system. It has changed my skin. And you know what I realized using BioClarity is that like my skin, in order to be glowing and clear, needs a skin regimen, something that's consistent, a routine. And BioClarity has given me that. So now BioClarity offers 2 skincare routines. The first is the clear skin routine. So that's the cleanse, the treat, and the restore. It's clinically proven to fight acne, soothe skin, reduce pore size, minimize redness, and even out your skin tone, which it has done for me across the board. And what's great is that it doesn't leave my skin flaky and red and irritated like so many other acne treatments that I've used in years past. And honestly, I see results within a few days, especially when I have a breakout. I'll just put the treat on it, and the next morning it is definitely reduced in size and irritation level. So the second routine is the essentials routine. It's the cleanse, the restore, and the hydrate. I love the hydrate. I actually use it along with my clear skin routine. It's scent-free, super light, but ultra moisturizing. It's best for normal, dry, or dehydrated skin. It's non-comedogenic, which means it won't clog your pores, which I love, and it's lightweight, like I said. So we are so excited to be sharing this brand with you because we believe in it. It actually works. And they use the power of plants, which, we love as well. They use plant extracts and Floralux, which is the green stuff in plants. It comes from the chlorophyll. So you can try BioClarity, this 3-step skincare routine that's 100% vegan, plus gluten-free and cruelty-free. If you go to bioclarity.com, our listeners will get their first month for only $9.95 plus free shipping. That's a $20 savings, and it comes with a 100% risk-free money-back guarantee. But you need to enter our code ALMOST30, ALMOST30. So bioclarity.com, and you will get the first month for only $9.95 plus free shipping, $20 savings with our code ALMOST30. In your office, I love that you have holistic treatments too.
Ooh, like what?
What are those, and how do they help the process?
Uterus facials.
I requested manicurist, but
we have an acupuncturist.
Cool. Do you get acupuncture?
I have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the thing about acupuncture, why it helps, there's 2 things. Acupuncture has been shown to have some physiologic benefits. So it's been shown to improve the blood flow to the uterus and the ovaries. That's the major, probably physiologic benefit of it. Because everything that we give them, the hormones are going to the ovaries to stimulate them, or the hormones are going to the uterus to get the uterine lining to grow. So acupuncture can help that.
Cool.
And the other part of it, if you've ever had it, it's very relaxing. So I was a non-believer, and the first time I did it, I felt like someone had given me a Xanax for about 4 hours. I was like totally just wiped out.
Yeah.
And after that, I was a believer.
Yeah,
so that's when we started having it in our office. And the other thing we have is a nutritionist.
Cool.
Yeah. Because that's big.
Do they see everybody?
No, it's elective.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't make them see anybody. You know, I say these are the things we have. You know, you can take advantage of them if you want. So like the acupuncture, they'll usually do that a couple times a week.
Wow.
And then when we're putting an embryo, they do it on the table. So they'll put the needles in for a half hour. Then I'll put the embryo in. Then they'll put the needles back in for another half hour.
Cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is next level shit.
That's
why you're being asked to speak all over the world, Bob.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you asked to speak about mostly?
The genetic testing. So one of the things that we do and have for the last 4 or 5 years, we genetically test every embryo that we do. Most practices will do
to make sure it's
some, you know, but they don't do a lot of it. We do it 100%.
Okay.
And so we've had a lot of data that's good, like what I just showed you. The success rates are really good. And so my lab people, my embryologists actually teach embryologists all over the world how to biopsy embryos and how to do freezing.
Wow.
And I talk about the clinical part.
Can you genetic test for like blue eyes and
No, but what you can do, there's hundreds of diseases now that we know have a genetic basis. So things like cystic fibrosis, hemophilia, certain types of muscular dystrophy, Tay-Sachs, you know, things like that. And so turns out that we can do blood tests to see if you're a carrier for any of those diseases. There's hundreds of them. So it's called carrier screening. So we do this routinely now. So when a couple comes in, we usually test one of them. They both have to be carriers for the kid to get the disease. If only one of them has it, then the kid's just a carrier, and that's the same as them. So we'll test one of them, and if they're a carrier for anything, then we test the other one. And if they both have it, we can screen the embryos for that disease.
Wow.
So there's a lot of, that's the other part we do. I talked about chromosome screening mostly, but we also have disease screening. So there's certain diseases like breast cancer, for instance, we can diagnose, and I've done this, the embryos that are going to have the BRCA gene. So, you know, you can eliminate the risk of breast cancer in that family for somebody who has it.
Wow. That's crazy. Do you are there any groups that are like against what you do?
The Catholic Church.
Good question.
Yeah, I guess that's
do they like pick it outside work? And you flick them off.
You know, it's
no picketers.
It's not like we're, you know, performing abortion.
No, yeah.
But, you know, the right to life people probably don't like the fact that we don't use embryos that aren't normal.
Totally.
What is like your view on that? Like the fact that is an option.
Well, not normal is not normal.
I know.
You know, I think it's a better option than finding out the pregnancy is not normal and aborting it later.
That's true.
You know, if you don't ever put it in, then, you know, you don't have to make those decisions. So for a lot of people, that's a better alternative. They don't have a problem just not putting in a Down syndrome embryo. But if they had a baby and they found out, you know, at 10 weeks, we have a blood test now you can do to diagnose these things, that you had a pregnancy with Down syndrome, then you've got a decision to make. For some people, it's not a problem, but for others, it is. So at least we can kind of avoid that. And most people that would have trouble terminating a pregnancy that was abnormal don't have trouble not transferring back an abnormal embryo.
Right. So interesting. Science, man. Is there any like up and coming procedures, technology that you're excited about, or is
Yeah, there is. There's one thing called CRISPR right now where we can actually turn a embryo that has a genetic mutation into a normal embryo.
What?
So there's something you can put in, like when we inject the sperm in, there's a stuff we can put in that will take the mutated gene out and replace it with a normal one. I mean, it's really cool.
That's insane.
So I think that down the line, that's going to probably start to become something that's more and more useful.
So you're not throwing away the egg. You're just...
Yeah, well, these are for diseases. You know, and maybe it's going to be applicable to chromosomes. I don't know what genes are. A gene is a very small piece of genetic material within a chromosome. Chromosomes are huge pieces of genetic material that are made of lots and lots of genes.
Sure.
So if you have somebody who has a mutated gene and it causes a certain disease, with this CRISPR technique, you can take that out, actually cut it out, and replace it with what's supposed to be there. And so you prevent the disease.
Okay.
Wow.
So anyway, that's the most exciting thing.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
For, I guess, last question for me. For people, so just back to the pregnancy thing and like having it more difficult to get pregnant as you get older. Is that because you have less eggs? Is that why people say that? Or
it's
what's
because
the reasoning?
you have less eggs, and because more and more of them as you get older are not normal. So, for instance, 45, that's a cutoff. We've never had a pregnancy in a 45-year-old or older, and we've never found a normal embryo in a 45-year-old or older.
Have they tried?
Oh, yeah. They come in, I tell them that, and they say, I'm going to be the first one, so let's do this. I tell them, okay. I mean, if you really want to, but I've never had one in 30 years, we're probably not going to have one now, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't just happen on their 45th birthday. If you look at that graph I showed you, you know, at 43 and 44, only 5% of their eggs are normal.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the problem. It's that you don't have as many, but mostly it's because most of them aren't normal. And more as you get older.
Okay. So you recommend that women get their eggs checked?
Well, since you really can't check their eggs, what I recommend is you get some idea of how many you have.
How do you do that?
Either with that AMH
okay.
blood test.
Okay.
And or
At a fertility doctor?
OBGYN can draw that blood test. Yeah, anybody can do it.
Okay.
And or have an ultrasound, you know, when you're not on birth control pills to get an idea about, you know, what your ovaries look like.
Okay.
What about the dudes, like for his sperm? How do we know if his sperm is good?
You do a semen analysis.
Oh,
That's
you
easy.
can.
We can
So what do
that.
you see?
Well, some guys have none.
No sperm.
Yeah. They're born that way.
Bitches.
And some of them have
Wait, what's in the fluid? It's just fluid?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh. Does it?
Wow.
Okay.
And some of them, just the number is really, really low. Like we have a urologist that we work with who takes the sperm right out of the testicle for us to use to fertilize the eggs, because when we do a semen analysis, there's nothing there.
So if they don't have it in the semen, you'll go to the testicle.
If we can, but only about half the time do they find it.
But isn't it the same thing?
Wow.
No.
Oh, okay.
The semen is what comes out.
Right.
That's the fluid. We're going right into the testicle and
Where there's just only sperm.
taking tissue out and looking for the sperm in that tissue.
Oh. Is that like super invasive, or it's just like a little needle?
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Little needle. All right. Wow.
So the guys have it a lot easier.
Last question from me. This is very not important for us, but could men increase their sperm count or decrease it? Or are they like us, just kind of, that's what you're dealt?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard like tight underwear.
Literally.
You know, it's mostly that there are things that you do that make it worse. And if you stop doing those things, it gets better. So two things they're easy examples. Heat, which is why the underwear thing is bad. So if you have a guy who's doing a lot of, sitting in a jacuzzi a lot,
and you should probably break up with them anyways.
Well, maybe. But we have guys like that, and their counts can get really low. The other thing is if they take testosterone. Testosterone will make your sperm go to 0.
Wow.
But then if you stop it, like 3 months later, then they
Goes
have it.
back
They
up.
have it again. Yeah. And I get a lot of guys that are doing that.
Crazy. You're
They
like,
come in-
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
Well, no, they come in and they don't say they're taking it. You know, we ask
That's
them
what I
all these
mean,
questions,
yeah.
and we do a semen analysis. There's no sperm. So I go, hey, you taking any hormones? Well,
He's like, give him a pump on.
What?
What do you mean?
Yeah, literally.
So,
Whoa.
but the good news for them is if they stop doing it, then, they have sperm again.
Okay.
But like if there's some vitamin or something you can take, there's all sorts of stuff that people sell, but I'm not sure I've seen that it really makes a huge difference.
Have you seen any like vitamins that help women stay fertile? What about like folic acid?
Well, you have to have folic acid when you're pregnant, a certain amount of it. Yeah.
And your body naturally makes it.
Well, you get it in food.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't
Leafy
know.
greens?
Yes.
That's my answer.
But
Yeah,
it's
it's always my
but
answer.
Folic acid is in
Dark
all
leafy greens?
It's in all the prenatal vitamins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Should we be taking prenatals?
Yeah.
not unless you're trying to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if it
I thought it was better for your hair, skin, and nails.
Well, that may be, but you don't have to take it just if,
Do you lose your hair after you have kids?
No, not necessarily.
I heard that.
Well, I mean,
I feel
a lot
like you
of
have some hair to lose. It's fine.
a lot of stuff, your physiology.
There's so much of it.
Your whole
my pride and
body
joy.
physiology changes when you're pregnant. So it messes with you. And afterwards, it lasts for a while, depending if you're breastfeeding or not.
Wow.
Okay. Can your patients breastfeed?
After they're
Yeah.
delivered, sure.
Okay. Everything's normal. I don't know.
We encourage them to.
I want the little details.
We want all the questions.
You understand. Once they leave my office at 12 weeks, they're just like every other pregnant person. They're not taking anything. All those hormones are made by the placenta starting around 9 or 10 weeks. So they stop all the stuff we give them. They're done taking that by the time they leave. And
what's a healthy amount of weight to gain when you're pregnant?
Oh, I'd say probably around 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't be eating for 2.
Yeah.
No, that's...
How much more calories should you have a day?
Well, I'm not an obstetrician, so
I know
that's not my.
You're more qualified.
That's not my.
You got to go now.
Area. Yeah, exactly. But it changes a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But it definitely isn't double.
Do you love what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because my field has changed so much in the time I've been in it. When I got into this, the oldest IVF baby was 8 years old. Now she's 40. So during that time period, the changes, now if, 8 out of 10 of our patients are getting pregnant when it used to be 1 out of 10, most of the time we expect it to work. So it's never been better than it is now. It's never been more exciting.
There's not as
genetics
much
is changing everything in medicine.
Yeah. Wow.
Genetics is going to be the basis of disease treatment in 10 years in almost everything we do. So, that's the most exciting part for me. I can't see not doing it right now. I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can because it's never been more fun.
Yeah. Especially now that you're not falling asleep at work.
Exactly. Yep.
And your office is so cool. Everyone's so nice. And people in his office have been there for 25 years?
I have some. I have 3 nurses that have been there for 20, 25 years.
Yeah. That's great.
It's like it flows. It's like, it's very personable, but it's also like, efficient. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, because when we have a lot of people coming in, they've got to get to work. That's why we start at 6:30 in the morning.
You do. What time do you end your day?
4:30.
Okay, that's nice, but still 6:30. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody wants to get in, before work. They have to come in for like 15 or 20 minutes. They're not there for very long, but they got to come in.
Every doctor that's like 9 to 5. I'm like,
yeah.
No, we don't do it that way.
Yeah, love that.
This was great.
I'm so excited. This was great. Yeah.
Because, we haven't really talked about it with our community, but like I can imagine that those that are in a relationship or not and are worried or curious or excited, that this is going to be something they want to start talking about more and more. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And we're thinking about it too.
I'm trying to get that 10K.
Better hurry.
I think I missed my window.
I know. I think I missed my window. Oops.
Yeah, you're both 30 now.
I was just nervous. Honestly, like the process of it kind of made me nervous. You can't work out. You can't really do that stuff for like 2 weeks.
It's short term.
I know, but like I have to work. And like I just got nervous with, I don't know. It was tempting though. I'll say that.
I know. I just don't want to think about another baby around the world that's not mine, that I'm not
I know.
loving. Because they're going to be a fucking incredible.
Well.
And it's not mine.
That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
For sure. Just like using an egg donor, using a sperm donor isn't for everybody.
I know.
Wow. Think about it. You could pay for college.
Do you have a lot of gay couples?
Yeah.
Good one.
Any trans?
I've had a couple.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And one of them I didn't even know was.
Wow.
Really?
They came in because they wanted to use an egg donor. This woman, the most attractive Asian woman.
Wow.
Was like,
yep.
And then
That's
somehow
amazing.
I found it out later and was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Really?
Yeah. I don't see as many trans, but we have a lot of.
Like they had a surgery.
I guess.
Wow.
She was gorgeous.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy.
But surgery down there.
We don't know.
You didn't see it.
We were using an egg donor, so we never did anything on her.
Oh, I see.
So it's her and a guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's amazing. Wow, that's so cool.
But we have a lot of same-sex couples.
Cool. Great.
That for a long time that was not done, and there's still some practices that don't do it. They're old school. Certain parts of the country. You can imagine.
Wow.
Wow.
But we've never had a problem with it.
That's great.
Cool. Love that.
Woohoo! Wait, all right. How can people connect with you? Plug everything.
I know you're going to get a lot of
DMs
customers.
on Instagram.
You need the customers.
Yeah, I'm not doing my Instagram. No. We're not. No, don't do that.
What's your website?
Our website's socalfertility.com. So there's a lot of information on there. A lot of the stuff we talked about is on the website. Those graphs we talked about are there. There's a whole section about age and fertility that people can look at. I've described the process of IVF in steps, pretty detailed. So, there's a lot of good stuff there.
Cool.
Any books that you'd suggest people check out?
Not really. I mean, I've seen a lot of different fertility books, and the problem is a lot of them, especially if they talk about IVF, they don't talk about what I'm telling you right now because this hasn't been around long enough.
Yeah.
So I call it 20th century IVF. I mean, doing it the way we used to do is kind of, gone by the wayside as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Thanks,
Okay.
Bobby.
All right. So I think I have to freeze my eggs in 2 years, 3 years?
We'll talk.
Okay. I'm just wondering. Hey, you never know. Okay. We love you, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Love you, Bob.
My pleasure.
You're the best.
Thanks.
This is fun.
If you guys have any questions for Bob, let's talk about it in the secret Facebook group. We will
We'll relay the message.
you'll relay the
Yeah, you
message.
can
get
forward
the
them to me. I'll
answers.
answer them if you
Yeah.
Okay.
forward them to me.
We'll filter.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing, rating, and reviewing on iTunes. We love you so much. Join our secret Facebook group. Stay tuned for our meetups across the country. And if you want us to
Get
come
your
to
merch.
your city,
Or if you want to start a podcast, go to our website and you can buy our How to Start a Podcast guide. And it will step by step show you how to launch and create a podcast.
yeah, we love you guys.
Bye.
See ya. Dr. Bob Anderson, MVP.
MVP, how fun was that? How easy to understand was that? I just love that we're talking about this because I think everyone is kind of maybe talking about it around closed or behind closed doors and things like that. But I have no idea, if someone is getting IVF, now I understand what they're going through and I understand what it actually means to be fertile. I mean, this was so eye-opening for me.
Yeah. I'm just so grateful. So if you guys want to connect with Bob, you can visit SoCalFertility.com and maybe we'll do a Facebook Live. I was thinking if there's enough interest to do like a Q&A.
With like you getting IVF in it.
Yeah. Just like vagina facing the camera.
yes. Legs up.
Yeah, it'll be, honestly, no one's ever done that before.
I agree.
So
we should.
Let's take a vote. All right, guys. So we're so grateful that you joined us this week. Join our secret Facebook group, all that
Got an
jazz.
event coming up.
Yeah, we have an event coming up. Listen up. On May 6th. It is a Sunday. It is happening at Sage Wellness and it is with our dear friend's spirit daughter, Jill Winterstein, and Energy Muse.
So it's going to be really, really great. It's all about your Saturn return. We are going to be going deep into your moon sign, your sun sign, and your rising sign. We're going to get everyone's charts done for them. So everyone that attends will have their own personal charts. And then you'll also get your own crystal that is perfect for your astrological chart. So this is going to be so much fun. It's very much workshop style with some badass people. So we can't wait to see you. Tickets are available on the Almost 30 podcast website. You can go there and we will see you soon. And I just wanted to give a little shout out. So for our reviews on iTunes, I mean, I know you guys take the time to write them. It means so much to us. It's just really helpful. There was one that I read that was just so sweet.
So sweet.
I've been listening to Almost 30 podcast for a couple months now, and it's honestly the perfect podcast. I started from the newest ones and worked my way all the way back to their first episode. I was so sad when I was done. They continue to bring on such amazing guests, such amazing episodes with such amazing guests. I have tried listening to some other rad girl podcasts, but they're a bit too much for me. And I tried finding wellness ones, and they were also a bit too much for me. Kristen and Lindsay somehow find that perfect middle ground of wellness and modern girl chatter that makes you feel like you're a night out with your best girlfriends sipping on healthy cocktails. Keep doing what you're doing, you badass bitches. And that's from Bozar22 in Canada. So thanks so much for writing those reviews on iTunes. We're so grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful week. We love you and stay tuned for our next episode on Tuesday.